Good afternoon, class. We got our boatload of information coming to you now that the surface has finally been fixed and returned. So I just want to go over a couple things and talk to you guys, and I'm going to get to your emails here in a short while. But let's continue on chapter 10 and your first homework assignment, which I will have graded here hopefully later this afternoon. We're going to work off of what we learned there. Couple basics about bonds payable. I want to just recap because it's been a little while since you guys have heard me, so I want to get this straightened out for you guys and get us on a regular roll of information and stuff. Remember, the word payable automatically means liability, so we're talking about long-term liabilities, meaning longer than a year. These bonds payable that we're going to be working with normally is the first 3 weeks of class, so we're still on target for getting this done. And we will be. Couple things I want to just point back to you. Slides number 6 and 7. Slide 6 talks about the 3 different scenarios that we're working with when it comes to the issuance of a bond payable. If you issue a bond at face value, meaning 100% of its value, your cash and bonds payable are going to be equal. That's the stuff that's written in the blue writing. If you issue something at a discount, meaning it's going to be less, so you're still going to have bonds payable at 600, but the amount of cash that you're going to receive is going to be less. So in that case, your cash will be less than the bonds payable, which would make your journal entry uneven and not balanced, which you would need a second or a third account, which, as you guys should know, should be called bonds discount. And the bonds discount would be a debit because you have to make sure that your journal entry is balanced. The third situation that we have, just quickly going over it, is if you buy something at a premium, meaning you're paying more for it. So the amount of cash that you would receive would be higher than the bonds payable. And then you would need a credit to make sure your journal entry balances, like you learned in financial. So that would be a credit, and the account you would call that one would be bonds premium. Now, here's where we're going to get into the harder part of bonds. And it's the next 3 journal entries that are going to be a little bit more difficult. So this is the lecture that if you, I expect to see that you guys click on and re-listen to and fast forward through a little bit to get to the points of that's important. Now, one of the features of a bond is the fact that if you borrow some money from somebody, you're going to end up paying them what we call interest. Interest is something that people use to earn or make money on their money. If you have a savings account at a bank, the bank typically pays you interest. May not be a lot of interest, but they do pay a small percentage of interest. Well, same thing happens in the business world. And that's what the attractiveness to buying a bond is that you lend somebody money and they're going to pay you periodically, they're going to pay you interest. Now, think back to your math and finance class here at SUNY Del High or other places. What do you think is the formula for interest? There's 3 letters that are associated when you're figuring out interest payments. Now, those 3 letters, I'm going to give them to you, and I'm going to give you some explanation, and we're going to talk about this for a few minutes. So it may be a little tight just doing this, but just bear with me. I am going to split each one of these journal entries up into a separate lecture to try to make it easier for you guys to understand. But we are going to go ahead and use the same example for all 3. So just bear with me and we'll get through this. So the formula for interest is what we call P times R times T. That stands for principal times rate times time. Now, the one thing I want you guys to understand in this class, the time factor. Okay, time meaning how long the interest is going to be paid, but it's paid twice a year. Okay, so every 6 months, we would have to do a journal entry to record the interest expense that we're going to incur. Okay, so one of those 3 numbers that you're going to need to do when you're doing a interest calculation is the time factor. And in this class, it's always going to be 6/12. Or aka 1/2. Now, the principal amount is going to be given to you in every problem. And if you take a look at the problem that we're working on here in class that has the example on it, if you go down to slide number 11 first, just if you go to slide 11, this is one thing I always say in class that kills you guys. When you get to a slide 11, you guys shut down. And you shut down because of the fact that the slide is all typing. It's all reading. So you could do the interest payments and calculations for the next journal entry two ways. You can either A, follow along on slide 11 and do it through that, or B, you can listen to the 3 individual videos that I'm going to put up for the interest payments. I'm going to break it up separately so that this way, if you can figure out one, you don't have to listen to a whole video to try to figure out the other 2. So I'm going to break them up and I will label them all appropriately so that you can follow along. So this video and lecture that you're listening to right now is going to simply be the interest payment if you had a bond at face value. Okay, only at face value will this interest payment work. Okay, so now I want you to slide to, well, can't really slide because I don't have a slide for that problem here. So you're going to have to listen to me and bear with me and just write down what I tell you to write down here. Now, when you have interest payments due to somebody, I want you to think about something. This company that we're working for is going to have to pay somebody interest. So when they're paying somebody interest, that means their cash is going to be going down. So what you need to do is you need to say to yourself, think back to your ALSDRE, back into financial, and how do you show cash going down? Now, when I say that, you should be thinking about the ADE rules and the LSRs. Cash normally goes up with a debit, so for cash to go down, you're going to have to credit cash. So what I want you to do is right now, just on a scrap sheet of paper, set up a journal entry with cash being credited. So that means just indent cash a little bit. Now, the next part of the journal entry is very easy to figure out too. You are paying interest. You're paying interest expense to, you're paying interest to a company. That's an expense to you. That's a legitimate business expense, interest expense. And now if you think about your rules from AD and LSR, expenses go up with a debit. So in this case, you're going to be debiting interest expense and you're going to be crediting cash. Does everybody understand that? You're going to debit interest expense and you're going to credit cash. Now, if you go up to slide number, let's see here. I want you to go up to slide number 8 for a minute. And this is the example I want you guys to follow along with me to just get these interest journal entries done properly. Now, if you take a look at slide 8, it talks about the issuance. Now, this issuance, we already have the bond issue right here in front of you. It says cash debit, 200,000 bonds payable, credit for 200,000. Now we've got to do the interest payment for this one. Okay. Now, how we go about doing that is using the formula that I gave you just a couple minutes ago. P times R times T. So in your calculators, grab them or your phone or whatever you're going to use to calculate something. The principal is the $200,000. So you're going to go ahead and type in 200,000 times. Now it says here that we're paying a 9%. So you're going to go ahead and type in 0.09 times. And then I told you the time factor for the problems in this class is going to be 6/12. So what you're going to type in your calculator is 200,000 times 0.09 times 6 divided by 12. And if you do that properly, you should come out to $9,000. Now, for some of you guys, you're going to say, well, where did you get the 0.09? That's 9% changed to a decimal. Okay? You're moving your decimal point 2 places to the left to make a percentage into a decimal. So that's where the 0.09 comes from. The 200,000 comes from the question. And then the 6/12, I told you that in this class, we're going to be paying interest twice a year. So you're always going to use the time factor 6/12 or AKA 1/2. Okay. So if you did that and typed everything properly, and I'm telling you to follow along so that you see it, you would see that 200,000 times 9% times 6/12 will give you $9,000. That $9,000 payment is solely for the 6-month time frame for that interest. Every 6 months, we're going to have to do a interest payment for that. So please keep that in mind. Every 6 months, we're going to be doing an interest payment for that. And hang on 1 second for me. All right, sorry about that. Was interrupted by one of Delhi PD's finest. So back to the journal entry with the issuance of bond. We're talking about the interest with the bonds payable. So 200,000 times 9% times the time factor I gave you, which is 6/12. So that gives you $9,000 that we'd be paying every 6 months for a total of $18,000 worth of interest for the year. So your journal entry would look like interest expense as a debit for $9,000 and a credit to cash because you're going to be paying cash to the person who lent you the money. So a credit to cash for $9,000. That's the only time that you're going to have to use the P times R times T interest calculation. That's important for you to understand. You only have to calculate interest once for the problems that we're going to be working on here. So please keep that in mind. You're only going to be doing P times R times T one time. And I will explain to you in the next video how we go further. Now, before I go on to setting this video up and putting it in for you guys to look at and view, I want you to go back up to slide number 7. And if you take a look at slide 7, it talks about the 2 rules when you issue a bond. Okay, now it's important. The first rule that we spoke about was bonds payable would be the same in all 3 of the issuance entries. Now, we're doing interest now, not issuance, but we're working on the interest. Rule number 2 goes along with the interest entry. And if you see there, when figuring out the interest expense journal entry, like we just did, interest expense is a debit, cash is a credit. The amount of cash, meaning the credit to cash, will always be the same in all 3 entries, meaning whenever we do the interest entry for face value, discount, and premium, the debit or credit to cash in all 3 of those entries is always going to be the same. So you know one of those numbers, once you figure it out for the face value, you can literally go and plug that number in for the bond discount interest entry, and then again for the bond premium interest entry. Cash is always going to be credited in all 3 of them, and cash will always have the same amount. So it will always be $9,000. The accounts that will change will be the interest expense, and we're going to introduce what we call amortization. Okay? Amortization is going to be the new word for the next video. So please follow along on that slide. Best way to do it is go to slide 8. You can see the information about the bond. It says 200,000, 9%. Again, changing a percentage to a decimal, you move your decimal point 2 places to the left. So that's why you were multiplying 200,000 times 0.09. And then you multiplied that by 6/12. Okay? So just hang on, listen to that, take your notes from this video, and then move on to the next video, which I'm going to label as a discount, interest entry discount. Okay? So I will speak to you in a couple moments. Signing off from this one.